What's up, everyone? I pray that you all are having a great day so far. My name is Keisha, and welcome back to my channel. Feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel if any of my videos bless or help you in any way, so that whenever I upload, that you will receive the notification for every time that I post a video. Today, what I want to get into is wisdom, because there is wisdom that comes from the world and there is wisdom that comes from God. And depending on which wisdom that you operate in will determine, how well your life looks, will determine, the better decisions that you will make. In order to fully and truly operate in wisdom, that way that we are supposed to operate in the wisdom is to first, which scripture tells us in Proverbs 9 verse 10, fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. So let's break that down, because what this first and foremost tells us is that the start of true wisdom first comes when we fear the Lord. Well, what is fear the Lord? Fear the Lord isn't like terror. It isn't like, oh, I'm shaking, I'm so afraid of the Lord, like he scares me. No, this fear of the Lord is a reverence, is an awe, which is you humbly respecting God, so much so that you do right by him, that you honor him, that you care about the things that he cares about. Because whenever we have the fear of the Lord, and because the scripture says that this is the beginning of wisdom, then what happens whenever we choose to fear the Lord is that we will also have the viewpoint, seeing the world the way that God sees the world. And in seeing the world the way that God sees the world, we will be able to manage, how we show up and how we operate, as it relates to the way the world sees, because we're not just conforming, right, to certain viewpoints, to certain things that the world says, but no, you have this view into the world, you have this insight the way that God sees. And not only that, but having this reverence, this fear of the Lord will cause you to also see yourself in the correct way as well. And then you just also in that making the better choices for yourself, because it's not you just looking from things from your point of view. You're not just looking at yourself from your point of view. You're not just looking at the world from your point of view, but you're looking at everything from the viewpoint of God and how God feels. And so you're going to operate according to this fear of the Lord, respecting him so much so that everything that I do is going to reflect that. As well as the second part of the scripture, which says, in the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding, because whenever we begin to truly know who God is, and we understand things so much more better, you begin to understand your circumstances more, because you know who God is. And so again, you're not just looking at your situation like things are just happening to me. You begin to see that actually, no, this is something happening for me, because this is something that God maybe has allowed, and it's for a certain reason. Because with God, things are not just done. Like, God doesn't waste anything just for the heck of it, right? There is a purpose in everything that God does, and God will use everything to work out for your good, right? He will use all of it if you're called according to his purpose. And so understanding God, having that knowledge of God is what we need, because, or having the insight to just knowing who God is and knowing how he operates, knowing that that's something that we can lay hold of in anything that we are going through. Because again, God is a God who does not fail. God is a God who does not forsake us. God is a God who will not leave us. God is a God who does not do things to harm us, but God is a God who does things because he loves us, right? God is a God who does things because, he sees more than what we see. Like, he knows more than what we know. And, overall, he wants the best for us. So when you begin to, know that God is gracious, right? Know that God is merciful, God. Know that God is caring, knowing that God is a good God, you will begin to have a different perspective into your own life and also into the world. Because a lot of the times we looking at the world and we questioning the world from you know what I'm saying, the evil standpoint, or you just questioning God in, or what, why would God allow this, or why would God, not understanding who God truly is, and knowing that even though God is God, that we still have an adversary. I don't know who this is for, or maybe somebody needs to understand this, we do have an adversary. We do have the enemy who is trying to oppose every single thing that God is doing in this earth. So this is why, negative things, evil things, bad things do happen. It's not because God is just allowing it. It's just the enemy is also doing what he is doing too. We got to understand that the same way God uses people for his plan and his purposes here on the earth, so does the enemy. And so you're going to have this clash between good and evil. You're going to have this clash between love and hate, right? You're going to have this clash between good and bad. When I say good and evil, yeah, all the things, the same thing, right? We're going to have this opposition. It's always going to be opposition when it comes to the devil. But when you fear the Lord, when you have understanding of who he is, his nature, his will, then you will do yourself a favor by making sure that everything that you do is from respect. Everything that you do is because you want to live in God's will, because you really want to make better decisions, because you really want the best for yourself out of life, because you just really truly want to know God, and you truly want to get closer to God, and you just really truly, want to not have a tainted view or looking at something, from the wrong perspective, but just overall get into the place within your mind and get into the place within your heart, and even with the choices and the decisions that you make, knowing that is in alignment with who it is that God is and what it is that God says. That's what we got to do. Also, so that we are ensuring that we are who we are supposed to be in him. Proverbs, speaks so much about wisdom, and that we need wisdom, and that wisdom is better than silver and gold and money and riches and all the things. And then James tells us too that we need to ask for wisdom. And then when we ask for wisdom with faith, that God who gives generously will give us the wisdom. And so there is so much to wisdom. There is so much value in wisdom. You can have all the knowledge, but if you don't have wisdom, your knowledge is wasted, because all wisdom is applied knowledge. You doing the things that you know to do, and doing it in a way that is pleasing to God, not pleasing to man, or not pleasing to the world, or not pleasing to self, but pleasing to God. Again, fearing him. That's what it comes back to. You will begin to want to live your life, have this desire to live your life in the true will of God for your life. That's what it's all about. Making sure that we, whenever it comes to that day of judgment, that we have lived a life that was pleasing to him. Make sure that you are operating in your life from a place of reverence and awe and respect for the one and true living God.